no moment or segment of the night had as much chaos going on, had as much hardcore stuff going on as our main event, the TNT title match. Bonds, you and I, and you and SPD, we've had some chats about the TNT title. Yep. Friday Night Flights and Fights, we talked at length about, this Darby Allin championship reign that he's had. What were your thoughts on how this all played out, bro? I mean, let's lay it out there. This match certainly, to me, it struggled with what I've talked about a little bit. It felt like it was overbooked a little. There was a lot of chaos going on, and that's I understand to some extent, because obviously Big Money Matt, he's got a lot of people on his payroll. In a Falls Count Anywhere match, that there's going to be some stuff like that going on, especially with Hardy. With I was not surprised to see Butch and Blade and Private Party get involved. But man, you had Sting come out. You had Lance Archer just decimate Isaiah Cassidy. I mean,
there's a lot going on.
There was a lot going on in this match. On top of the formulaic Darby Allin title match. So we've been very positive about the show to this point. I guess the ultimate litmus test for tonight's show, for how great we're feeling on tonight's Dynamite, does this hold up as an elite for you, or the main event, is that going to fall as a delete?
Well, unfortunately for me, this is the only delete of the night. And it's because of the formulaic stuff. And this did feel overbooked. And it even though it was overbooked, some of the overbooking didn't make sense personally. Like when Hardy Family Office came out, Matt was in complete control of the match. There was no reason for them to interfere. They come out and interfere, and when Matt Hardy was basically in control the entire time to that point, I think Darby had hit him once or twice, and Matt was just beating him with a chair, and they come out and essentially cost him the match by getting all these other people to come out and get involved. It didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
If Matt Hardy was losing the match to that point, then maybe yes, come out and help him. But Matt was in complete control throughout the entire match. And we've talked about this with Darby, and I think this was another example of that. And I think that the stipulation on tonight's match was to protect him in that way.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about, he's getting beaten up for 90% of his matches and then doing a couple moves at the end to win. And it's getting very old. And I thought that because it was the main event, I was excited. Oh man, maybe they're going to do something a little different with this one. And the fact that it was Falls Count Anywhere and weapons were able to be involved, I was like, okay, you're opening up Darby a chance to get more offense in. This is great. Perfect opportunity for him to get more offense in. And he didn't. Yep. It was the same exact match with weapons in it.
Yeah, and especially for me, coming off the heels of Matt Hardy's promo on Dark, where he was like, I'm gonna show you how extreme I can get. And
he did.
He did, but it would have been really nice to see Darby match that yes, he had some big moments with the baseball bat clearing the announce table and going buck wild with that.
The last spot was great, but
the coffin drop.
There wasn't enough of that stuff.
There wasn't enough of that, right? It would have been beautiful to see Darby. You and I have talked a lot about this, right? In a regular match, it's very understandable that Darby, given his build, is going to be an underdog most of his matches, and so yes, it makes sense that he's going to have to kind of figure out ways to win in spite of getting beaten up. There needs to be an element, a niche where he has the advantage. We haven't been presented anything where he's been so he's had a street fight, he's had Falls Count Anywhere matches. Where and yes, he's come out on top in those matches, so I can't like I sound like I'm a critic, like even though he's come out on top, I gotta say, like, even in those matches, he again getting ragdolled, and it's the big spot at the end where he wins. It's like 90% of his matches he just gets decimated, and then he wins at the end. And early on, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like he's a non-traditional champion. He's kind of got that like that masochist where like he gets beaten up and he gets beaten up and he gets beaten up and he eventually like
wears his guy down and is able to win.
He's able to win through sheer will and determination and stuff. And that's cool, but in doses. I feel like, with him being a champion and the TNT champion, really the face of the company, he's kind of in a tough spot where his matches just do not fit what we come to expect out of a champion. And it's very hard to get behind when you see this formula play out the way we've seen it. It's just, there needs to be more of those matches that break the mold to me. There needs to be more of those matches that shake things up a little bit. That's why, again, like the Joey Janela match, the Scorpio Sky match, those are so refreshing and stand out in such a good way because they didn't fall into that same pattern. And some of it is, I think I might have some fatigue because like he literally was just absolutely like just beaten and embarrassed and just completely ragdolled throughout most of the feud with Brian Cage. Which, yeah, I mean, Cage is a monster. He's the machine for a reason. So I get it. But he hasn't had a chance as champion since that to really feel like he's in control, that he's a top guy. It's you've talked about it at length, and I think you say it really well. If he continues to have these kind of matches week in and week out, it doesn't make his opponents look better.
It makes everybody look the same.
It makes everybody look the same, and that's not how wrestling works in its ideal form. There has to be tiers. If JD Drake gives you just as hard of a time as Brian Cage, what does that say? If Matt Hardy in a Falls Count Anywhere match puts up like it's just as hard for him to put you away as John Silver. Like where is the ranking system and where do these guys fall? It just doesn't. It makes things very muddy.
Right. There has to be a difference between how he performs against some opponents and others. And that's why, again, I was so disappointed in how this match turned out because there was an opportunity for that formula to change tonight. He had the potential of weapons, which when you have a weapon involved, it doesn't matter how big you are.
A great equalizer.
Somebody with a baseball bat, you're going to knock them out.
Yep.
So you can do different stuff. And Matt, again, like I love Matt Hardy, but he's been in the business for a long time too. So he's in his mid-40s. You have a guy who's in his mid-40s in a match with weapons, and you can, in that kind of match, you should be able to put more offense out. And
Matt Hardy doesn't need the rub, right?
Right. Matt Hardy's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And again, like he broke into the business as a high flyer with somebody. His brother is similar to Darby Allin as anybody in the world. And they've had matches together. And obviously, I think Jeff's a little bigger than Darby is, but still, like, you were able to have matches with Jeff Hardy as Matt Hardy where you're not having this kind of stuff go on. And I think part of the problem is like Darby sells so well.
Yeah.
He sells so well that it's
yeah, he does.
It's like a detriment in a way because everything that happens to him looks like it's killing him. And it's hard to come back from that and look like you're able to do anything on offense. And that's kind of the problem. He has like these moments where he'll get massacred for minutes at a time and just be basically looks like he's out cold on the ground and have it happen, maybe get one thing of offense, or maybe the guy gets hurt. Like that moment tonight was when Matt Hardy hurt his tailbone doing the leg drop off of the ladder, which is like an awesome spot, but he landed on his tailbone. And so Matt was limping around, and that's what kept Darby the champion, because Matt couldn't move towards this at the very end of the match, because that was in the last 3 minutes of the match that spot happened. And then when Matt couldn't move around as well as he was, Darby was able to get the bat away from him, hit him with it, knock around a bunch of stuff, and then do his one move to knock Matt out.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how it played out. And it was just disappointing because there was potential for in such a great show where I think everything was laid out so well.
Oh, this was one of the best. I mean, Dynamite.
Oh, it was great, especially after last week. Like, this felt like they earned that Wednesday night win, like that Wednesday Night War win. Like, tonight was their reward to the fans, and this match was the only one where it felt like it was overbooked with everybody coming out. There was too many people involved, and Darby had a chance to get in some offense in this one where he usually doesn't have that opportunity, and he wasn't able to do it, unfortunately.
Yep. I agree. I think that you and I both, it's a shame that we have to end on a delete, but